Forget every cliché you've ever heard about discipline. Forget the feel-good slogans, the quick-fix methods promising a new life in 5 minutes. Let's face a brutal reality. If any of that actually worked, you wouldn't be here. Still shackled by your own impulses, laziness, and hesitation, like a deposed monarch watching their kingdom be devoured by internal chaos. You've been fed a sweet lie that willpower comes from inspiration. But the truth is, real discipline is born from the ceaseless war you wage against the weakest part of yourself. In this war, there is no neutral ground. You either become the absolute commander of your own mental territory, ruling the chaotic army of your desires and emotions with an iron fist, or you will be torn apart by them, becoming the first casualty of your own inner turmoil. The vast majority of people live like unmanaged cities, their gates wide open, allowing every passing temptation and impulse to plunder and destroy at will. They never realize that freedom, strength, and victory are built solely on the foundation of unquestionable, strategic discipline. Anyone who does not impose order on themselves will ultimately be enslaved by chaos. Niccolò Machiavelli, the deeply misunderstood strategist of power, saw all of this long ago. While the world sells you positive thinking and hollow beliefs, Machiavelli dissected human nature with surgical coldness. The world doesn't reward good intentions. It rewards those who can execute their will, the disciplined. For him, discipline was not a mark of moral superiority, but survival itself. A king without discipline faces the same end as a beggar on the street. Both will be consumed by the flood of ruin. And here's the coldest truth. The moment you relinquish self-rule, the keys to your destiny are forfeited. They will be seized by a stronger will, a more violent impulse. The throne of life is never vacant. If you do not occupy it with absolute dominion, you will inevitably be ruled by external forces. If you naively believe discipline is about waking up early on days you feel like it, if you think mere desire is enough to keep you standing in a storm, then you have already lost. This content is not for the weak seeking comfort. It is for the warriors ready to throw themselves into the forge and be hammered into an unbreakable sword. True discipline demands that you guard it like a state secret, building constant vigilance, meticulous strategy, and ruthless self-control. Machiavelli did not write to give psychological massages to fools. He wrote to train strategists capable of mastering the brutal realities of the world. From his perspective, discipline is a structure, a strategy, a law of survival. In The Prince, he states unequivocally, "For just as the good order of the militias is the origin of good order in the states, discipline is the core that allows a city or an army to withstand the storm." This is not just a military principle. It is a profound psychological law. Without discipline, no individual, organization, or nation can survive adversity. The stability of a state is merely an external projection of its ruler's internal order. A person enslaved by their own impulses can achieve no lasting victory. Machiavelli saw, with terrifying clarity, that discipline is not a peacetime accessory, but a suit of armor that must be worn at all times. It allows you to remain calm and strategic in the face of anger, fear, and vanity. He warned that for an undisciplined prince, the greatest enemy is not external, but comes from the internal cracks he refuses to seal. Every uncalculated action, every unprepared decision, every emotional reaction is a paving stone on the road to his downfall. Therefore, you must cultivate discipline as a rigorous habit, as natural as breathing. Machiavelli believed that human nature is inherently prone to corruption by desire, pride, and fear. The only defense is relentless self-surveillance. This law applies to everyone who wishes to master their own destiny. If you do not actively rule your mind, it will be ruled by circumstances, emotions, and others. And in Machiavelli's world, the ruled are already politically dead. They just haven't fallen over yet. Now let's bring this battlefield into your mind. Imagine an army marching into combat without training, strategy, or obedience. What is the outcome? a preordained slaughter. In his Discourses on Livy, Machiavelli writes, "The orders of a wise captain are not obeyed by undisciplined soldiers." This is a perfect picture of your inner world. You can set countless goals and make endless promises. But if your thoughts, emotions, and impulses have not been trained to obey absolutely, they will desert at the first sign of a challenge, leading you to betray your own ambitions. Military discipline is the essence of what allows the few to overcome the many, the weak to surpass the strong. A small disciplined unit is infinitely more powerful than a disorganized mob. Likewise, a few well-trained thoughts are far more powerful than thousands of chaotic desires. Honestly assess yourself. How many times have you failed not for lack of talent, but for lack of control? How many promises have you broken not for lack of ability, but because you allowed fatigue, fear, or doubt to take command? Your life's battle is lost the moment you abandon mental discipline. True discipline means waking up with the same determination, regardless of how you feel. It means obeying your strategy, not your fleeting emotions. Victory belongs only to those who refuse to retreat on the arduous path. The modern world celebrates feelings and despises discipline, which is precisely why so many live defeated lives. But now you understand. To master your life, you must become the general of your inner army. Train your mind the Machiavellian way, without mercy, without excuses, without compromise. Because on the battlefield of existence, a lack of discipline is a slow death sentence. In Machiavelli's worldview, fortune is not a just goddess but a blind, raging river, ready to destroy the unprepared. In The Prince, he wrote his famous metaphor, "Fortune is like one of those impetuous rivers that ... When they become enraged, flood the fields, topple trees and buildings. Yet, although they are thus furious, this does not prevent men in times of calm from taking precautions with dikes and barriers." This warning must sound an alarm in your mind. Those who hope for luck to save them are waiting for ruin. Only those who build their inner dikes in advance can survive the flood. The material for building these dikes is virtue, another core of Machiavellian thought. It does not mean moral goodness, but inner power, wisdom, adaptability, and resilience in the face of adversity. It is discipline in action. It allows you to stand firm when all else crumbles, to create opportunities from despair. The master of vodka does not depend on luck. They challenge it, use it, but never use it as an excuse. They build their dikes long before the flood arrives. Now examine your life with that same coldness. How many times have you waited for circumstances to improve on their own? How many times have you hidden behind the excuse that the time wasn't right? The key to cultivating virtue is what we will reveal next, why most people's pursuit of discipline ends in miserable failure. Today, discipline has been packaged into a cheap product. It's been reduced to life hacks, habit-forming apps, and colorful planners, as if humanity's oldest war, the conquest of the self, could be won with phone reminders and motivational quotes. This modern concept is a laughable farce. If Machiavelli were alive, he would mock this naivety. He knew true discipline is never comfortable. It is born from confrontation, not ease. It is not about acting when you feel inspired, but acting when your body is exhausted and your soul begs for surrender. You fail because you are conditioned to seek shortcuts, to believe that the right method will magically align your life. But real strength is forged in the monotonous, unseen days. The modern mindset teaches you to forgive yourself too easily, to treat failure as part of the process, as if life were a self-esteem game. While you numb yourself with these excuses, your potential rots within you. The discipline Machiavelli describes is structural. It ignores your moods, despises your motivation, and stands as a mental fortress built of rock, not emotion. If you want to build the kind of discipline that forges empires, you must abandon the need for comfort and accept pain as part of the forging process. It is time to turn theory into brutal, daily practice. Here's the strategy to build your inner order. Ceaseless vigilance. Like a general inspecting his walls daily, you must ruthlessly examine your thoughts and behaviors. Any lazy thought, any procrastinating excuse, is a crack in your fortress. You must spot it the moment it appears and repair it without mercy. The strategy of no choice. Your brain is wired to take the path of least resistance. Therefore, true freedom begins with rigid routines. You must set unshakable schedules for waking, working, studying, and training, and execute them like a soldier following battlefield orders. For example, you don't decide whether to train. Training becomes a non-negotiable fact of your identity. When the time comes, you go. There is no room for negotiation, relentless reinforcement. In the real world, mistakes have consequences. You must create real, painful, and immediate consequences for your own failures. This is not about punishment, but about training your subconscious to understand that violating discipline is completely unacceptable. For example, make a public commitment. If you fail, you must donate a painful amount of money or admit your failure to someone you respect. You must make your brain operate like a trained soldier. It obeys not because it feels good, but because it is an order, and the consequences of disobedience are unbearable. This is the truth. Building real discipline is forging armor for yourself before life puts you in shackles. Now, a deeper question remains. Why, knowing all this, do countless people still choose self-sabotage? It is this silent betrayal that we will finally expose. If you have made it this far, you must understand. Knowledge without action is the shield of a coward. Many will hear these words, feel the sting of truth, and then turn back to their comfort zone of excuses, procrastination, and self-pity. They will remain subjects to their impulses, beggars of luck. But a few will make the choice that transforms a mortal into a master of their destiny. The choice to stop being ruled and to start ruling. Machiavelli taught that a state without discipline invites collapse. You now understand that your life is the same. Your mind is your territory. Your habits are your troops. You will either be the prince or the prisoner. There has never been a middle ground. Perhaps you think you still have time, that you can start tomorrow or next week. But Machiavelli warned, the prince who waits for the perfect moment will be destroyed by the first wave of misfortune. The moment is now, while you still have the strength to raise the walls of your inner fortress. Discipline yourself for your freedom, for your survival, for the greatness you demand. Now I want you to write this in the comments as a public oath. I choose to be my own prince. This is not for me, it is for you. Let it be a reminder that the first step to conquering the world is always to conquer yourself. More importantly, do not stop. Continue your transformation. The next video will further arm your mind, ensuring that every decision you make from now on is a firm step toward absolute self-mastery. Watch, reflect, evolve. Your forging has just begun.